So, big news, Equifax and TransUnion have just been sued. There is a lawsuit or a class action lawsuit against both companies here in Canada. What does this mean for the everyday Canadian? That's what we're going to be discussing. But before we get started, if you don't know who I am, my name is Kenny Johnson. I operate a credit repair company here in Montreal, Quebec, but we service all of Canada. If you have collections, if you have derogatory accounts that are giving you issues, send us an email, info@kennyjohnsonuniversity.com, and we will be happy to book a free consultation call to help you out. So to jump right into the topic, Equifax and TransUnion, there is a lawsuit or a class action lawsuit that has been filed against them. Now, it's still in the early stages of the process. It's still extremely early in the process. They haven't even actually verified or properly submitted this with the courts, but it has been filed through the law firm. So again, we're still in the early stages of this lawsuit. Now, I don't want to get too technical on the litigation side, but today I do want to discuss past history because I do believe that can help us see where we're probably going to land as far as this lawsuit is going to take place. Now, it's extremely important to give context about both of these companies. A lot of people forget that Equifax and TransUnion work nationally. Okay, now they are headquartered. They do have headquarters here in Canada for the Canadian side, but they have a U.S. side. They have businesses in Australia. They have not some, and it varies between Equifax and TransUnion. There are other credit bureaus that exist, just not in Canada. They have some in South Africa. They operate all across the world. Hopefully, you get my point. These are huge companies. And so everyone's getting extremely excited about this news because everyone's familiar with Equifax and TransUnion. You may have spotted some inaccuracies. And so you may feel like, oh, I can jump on this class action. But I just want to give you some information today to hopefully bring some realism to the situation because the way that it's being advertised is that you can get up to $5,000, $10,000 in the class action. That way that and I believe that's kind of a way to motivate you to go ahead and jump in within that class action, submit your situation to try to help that law firm, and I'm not going to say their name, that law firm actually win their case against Equifax and TransUnion. So historically, it's important to know that in most situations, Equifax and TransUnion, they usually come out on top of these lawsuits. If they're not just straight out winning it or the case isn't being tossed out, then usually what's actually happening is that maybe they're paying out a small sum and it's not going to be a lot. Just like with most class actions, you don't hear too many stories. If you just think about it yourself, how many stories have you heard of people being paying out a bunch of money from class actions? It's probably going to be a very small percentage because, again, these companies have the capital to deploy to protect themselves because they are billion-dollar companies at the end of the day. They have the capital to protect themselves, hire a team to protect themselves. And keep in mind, context is so important. This is not the first time they've been sued. And just to bring clarification, they're being sued because of inaccurate information that's been reported to Canadians' credit report. This is not the first. They've been sued for this in the US. They've been sued for this in Australia. Do you not think that they're prepared for this situation? We have to be able to think critically. It doesn't mean that if you haven't been affected by this, it doesn't mean that I don't think you should join. But I do want to set the proper expectations so that you're not disappointed. Um, again, when Equifax and TransUnion have had a major loss, and this is in Canada, it was back in 2017. And I believe that they had to do a payout of $700 million, which is a huge payout. But this issue was due to a data breach. So a data breach is going to be more severe in the court's eyes versus inaccurate misinformation. Okay. So these are two separate scenarios because, on the other hand, inaccurate information happens all the time. We come across clients where one of their biggest frustrations is that they have a mismatch on their credit report. This is extremely common. This is extremely common. But Equifax and TransUnion can actually fix this. They have channels for you to communicate with them. But the problem is the reason why I believe this is really going to get tossed out in most likelihood is because they do have a decent system at being able to communicate with them. And what I will say, most people do not properly communicate with the collection companies. And so if someone is sending a dispute letter regarding their credit report or their credit, they are not doing it properly. Sometimes they'll send letters out and they won't attach your IDs. Most people don't even know you have to attach your IDs to properly identify yourself. Because if you didn't have to attach your IDs to your dispute, anyone could set a dispute on your behalf, right? So they don't even know how to properly dispute. Some people don't even submit the disputes registered letter mail. And so if you don't have a registered letter mail, then you have no case. Where's the paper trail, or where's proper documentation showing that you've actually sent it off? Even Equifax has forms online. Do I think they're extremely effective? No, but it's still a way. People don't even do that. People say, well, I called, but again, a lot of people don't keep documentation of that. And so this is going to come down to, are they actually going to be able to consume enough content to show that Canadians have proper documentation over an extended period of time to prove that Equifax and TransUnion have been misreporting information and they've been ignoring it? Because I don't believe the issue is about the misreporting of information, because companies are going to make mistake. I think the biggest issue that they should be trying to lean on is if Equifax and TransUnion are ignoring the complaints from the consumer. I think that's the biggest thing. So if they have a hard time proving that consumers have had a hard time getting those complaints fulfilled, then I think that could be the difference maker. But most people do not do proper complaint submits, or they don't dispute properly. So I feel like this is kind of gonna fall through. We'll probably look back at this, let's say 3, 5 years from now, and realize that this actually transpired into nothing much. But again, I do think there may be a few payouts, if none. I'm going to be honest. I don't think we're going to see much. If this was a data breach situation, I would be I'd be very excited, and I would be sad for those individuals that had, their information leaked, because that's not a good thing. But on the other hand, I would be very more, I'd be a little bit more positive about the outcome of you getting a payout, because we can see historically that that's what the courts usually tend to favor for the consumer, is when there is a data breach, because there is a violation of PIPDA, that is a violation of your privacy laws, right? So in all situations, I don't think you should be too bullish on this lawsuit. If you truly have been affected, understand this is how I would look at it. Let's say, for example, you had damages. The damages need to equate to the amount that you're going to be complaining about. Okay, again, they're claiming anywhere between $5,000 to $10,000. It's going to be extremely difficult for people to prove that, because of their credit report or misinformation on their credit report, that they lost $10,000. Okay, now if that is the case, one of the ways I can see that actually working out is if, for example, let's say you lost a job opportunity and that pay was going to be for $60,000 maybe, and you weren't able to rebound or find another opportunity for work, you probably would be able to leverage that. But for most people, I don't think that's the case, because typically the only people that actually weigh in on your credit report in the hiring process is usually in the financial industry and a few other small niche industries as well. So I really don't see this being a big deal or a big thing for most Canadians. Now, again, if you have collection accounts, we're here to help. And hopefully, this video is a reminder that these companies make mistakes. If we have a class action lawsuit, this should just be another reminder that these companies make mistakes. Equifax and TransUnion historically are known for having inaccurate information. Just in Canada alone, there's only two credit bureaus, 40 million Canadians. There are going to be mistakes. This is not the last lawsuit. There's going to be more, for the same reason. There's going to be more data breaches. It's just a part of the process, it's part of the cycle, especially when you're a company that's responsible for 40 million individuals. Mistakes are going to happen, data breaches are going to happen. It's just about, can we lower the frequency at which it happens, right? And I think that's something that Equifax, hopefully, they're working towards. But that's why there's also an avenue for credit repair companies to exist. We're here to help you properly dispute. Most people don't know how to dispute. Most people don't know how to dispute. And so most people don't have the time to actually learn the process. You can dispute on your own, but maybe you don't want to deal with that. You want to deal with a company that you can trust, that you can work with, and do all the heavy lifting for you and provide you with updates. That's why we exist. If you need help, you can send us an email, info@kennyjohnsonuniversity.com. And until next time, peace.